If you're having any trouble with your hard gel lifting, that's if you're building a nail or putting on full cover tips, this video is for you. Lifting is one of the biggest problems we have, and it's usually lifting at the cuticle area, and it doesn't matter what product you're using, whether it's acrylic, hard gel, soft gels, you can even get it when you're painting gels, and full cover tips, hybrid gels, anything you're putting near the cuticle when you're building your nail can lift. And it really sucks, but there's a little few things you can do to stop that. It's generally never product. It's almost always the technique. Lifts can be caused by incorrect preparation. So let's start there because that's the first step. This is our nail we're going to work with. Now, my cuticles, I pay attention to my nails. I do them all the time, sometimes 2 to 3 times a week. So I'm always constantly making sure the cuticle is pushed back, but that's what we want to do. We're trying to remove cuticle off of the natural nail. That is probably the first step where we can get lifting. Get rid of that cuticle off the natural nail. So it's the white sticky stuff. When you push it back, it'll leave a residue of white right around this area here, leaving an organic matter, and that's where product won't stick. So we want to push that right back. And then there's the proximal nail fold. Those are 2 separate things. The proximal nail fold is this layer of skin around here. We want to respect that. So we're just removing cuticle off of the nail plate. Okay, so I do that mostly with my arbor bands. And today I've got my new baby mini arbor bands. I love these things. So this sanding band is a medium grit. I'm going to turn it on very, very low. This is excellent for getting in those corners. And if you're not used to e-filing, this is a great place to start. And you can actually see. Normally I work with ones this big, and I'm only really using the very, very corner of one. But now this is so much smaller, you can actually see where you're going. So I'm going to just get right into the corner. See how I'm getting right into that corner? Look how close that is, right? Right in there, and I'm going to go right around here. This is the most important first step in prepping for that nail for no lift. So whenever a client has a lift, there's several things you can look at, and that is, why is it lifting? Is it from the application being too thick? Is it because I didn't prep it good enough? Was there oil contaminated on that nail I didn't know about? There's all sorts of things that goes through your head, but this is the first step. There is still a bit of product on here we're going over top of. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that dust. I'm going to wipe it off the table and everything. Oop. See this little sparkle? Remember this from the last video. Just got to get rid of that. I am never 3 inches from a sparkle. Okay, so I've removed all of the dust. Now, I will not wipe this at this point with alcohol because sometimes alcohol can have too much water in it. It can actually aid a lift. So I won't do that. And if you're using a dehydrator, make sure it's something that goes with the company, and then they recommend that because there may be other things and you want to make sure there's nothing else in it. So I do all the cleaning and the prep before that, and then I will not put alcohol on this. So the next step and where lifting can occur, if your adhesive is not compatible with the product that you're putting on, so make sure they go together. So don't use a bonder or a primer that you take from an acrylic line and to prepare for your gel products. They won't go together. Now, don't worry about if you're seeing any whiteness and dryness. Dryness is good. We want it to be really dry. If it's moist or wet in there at all, that's going to aid to your lifting possibly, right? You want to make sure you've got the right adhesive that goes with the product that you're using, and then how you apply it is key in that lift. I'm using Bridge, and the best way to use Bridge, that's another thing, make sure you're using the products exactly how they want you to use them. So we want to be able to take your Bridge. We don't want to do a thick layer, and we want to massage. That's how you specifically put this product on. You want to massage with your brush into the natural nail by getting that everywhere. Now, it is true that you may skip this step and they won't lift, but the majority of customers do need some type of adhesive, especially if you're looking for a long wear. If you just want to wear it for a week or two, well, it probably doesn't matter. But if you're looking for a regular, consistent fill and now lifting between a 4 to 6 to 8 week period, you want to make sure that you are using some type of adhesive, but make sure it's compatible with your product. Okay, so I've got my Bridge on there. I've massaged it in, and now I'm going to give it a nuke for 60 seconds. Okay, so we covered the 2 very important reasons to avoid a lift, which is prepping that natural nail, making sure your bonder or your primer is put on correctly. And now we want to form. I'm going to form it now. The next step is super, super important when you're dealing with gel in particular. So the first 2 tips I gave you applies to pretty much anything you're putting on, right? And this one is going to be specific to gel. So I'm just getting me form ready. I actually put them on the other fingers. Beautiful color. It's my new color. And I'm going to apply it to this thumb. Then we can see them all done for the final photo. So I'm going to put me form on. Okay, so here's number 3. This one is probably the most important, and it also covers getting super close to the cuticle. So I'm actually using my new product. It's Suzie's pink gel. It's a very opaque pink, and it's beautiful. You don't have to put any color on it if you don't want. It's just one color. Get just a little tiny bit. What we're gonna do is we're gonna paint on a very tiny amount, like thin like nail polish, or even just a little thicker than what we already did with the bridge. So we've got a little blob on there. See that little blob? If I take that blob and I try to start building the nail, and I'm going into the cuticle and I'm pushing and I'm pulling, see how it just pulls back from the cuticle? See how it just does that? It's not in as close as we want. Gel sticks to gel. It kind of hugs each other. So what I'm trying to do is paint a thin layer near that cuticle so I can sort of smudge it in, and that way my new builder layer will actually stick to that, and I don't have to work so hard to take a big ball or plop or blob of gel right near the cuticle. So just by putting this tiny little grip layer, I think some people call it like a slip layer, but I like to call it a grip layer because it's actually going to grip onto the big blob that I'm going to add next. Beauty. Okay, now the trick is with this, don't cure this. Just leave it. You want it nice and sticky. So leaving that sticky will help the big blob next. Okay, I'm going to get me bigger blob now. It's a pretty big thumb. I could probably even have gone bigger. You might have to get another one. Look at that nice cuticle in there. Isn't that perfect? That's nice and thin. So we can actually use that for our final result too. Okay, so I'm going to get my big blob in there. And now I'm going to let it rest into that grip layer. Adding it to the sides, the stress point. Building it right up into the stress point, right across the entire nail. Now if I was just leaving a nice little short nail, this would work. But I don't. I want to go quite long, so I'm going to get another blob. And I'm going to add that to the stress. I'm going to have that contact. Once I get my contact again, I'm going to go back and forth as wide as I want it to be on the sides. Now I'm going to do a stiletto to match the others. And I'm going to walk it. And I'm going to side by side all the way down. I would just check my sides right here. Check my side right here. And then what I'm going to do is the best part about gel. This isn't a lifting issue. This is just a structure issue and a pretty issue. I'm going to hold it upside down for a little bit, but I'm going to make it quite parallel with the table. The apex part, the highest point of your nail, make it parallel with the floor, table, whatever. And even if you're impatient, like I can be sometimes, I will take my brush and sort of encourage it a little bit to get into the point where I want it to be. Ooh, it's looking really good. Look at that. That's really good. Okay. Yeah, it's looking beauty. If it's rolling into the sides a little bit and the upside down movement doesn't take care of it, you can just go like that. But be careful when you do that. You can make it a bit thick, so you don't want it to go too thick. That's looking really good. Okay, so I'll just hold it upside down to give it that bit of gravity, and then I'm going to cure it once I feel it's ready. Just don't cure your pot of gel. Look at that beautiful arch. That's what holding upside down does. It can make it really smooth. Now, I do recommend, no matter how beautiful you make that arch in the curing process, don't just top coat it and go. You always have to file it. Now, keep in mind, the better you get at application, the quicker and easier your filing is. When your application's kind of rough and lumpy and bumpy, you have more filing to do. But once you get better, that's what speeds up your time. You just get better at each one of those things, right? Okay, so we're just going to release this form. The best way to do it with any product, the thinner it is, be really careful. You want to pinch it, and then you want to pull that out. We'll put the lid on your... I'm going to start filing, so make sure that you put your lid on your gel. And clean up your gel brush. Now, if you have a cap on your gel brush, you don't actually have to clean the gel out of it. You could just leave it in there and put your cap on. Okay, so there's a sticky layer on there. It's a dispersion layer, just like gel polish or your hybrid gels or my slow curing monomer does the same thing. You just want to remove that dispersion layer. And now we can file. So how filing aids to lifting is if you have applied it too thick and you don't file it thin enough, or it's so thick and it's so complicated about lifting, but filing, we want to make sure that we make the cuticles nice and smooth. We don't want to leave a thick ledge because that can be pulled up and it can actually lift. Oh, you know, one thing with gel in particular, it's a very, very fine dust. And I do recommend when you're filing in general, you want to wear a mask, and gel in particular. Okay, this application for the cuticle went down really good, so we really don't want to file too much. We're just going to take our little bit. I'm just going to focus this particular filing around the cuticle. That looks really good. Yeah, so we're just going to blend that in, and we're just going to go over top of the whole nail. Now, this little bit to me is more for those cuticles. So if I want to pick up some speed, I'm going to change my bit. I just soak my bits in acetone, and I'm just going to change it to my bulk and sculpt. Okay, so the cuticle's beautiful. I don't have to tack the cuticle anymore. And the arch we did really good. So we're really just cleaning this right up and getting rid of any bump anywhere and just making this exactly how we want it. Okay, so I just filed it up because this video I wanted to focus on the lifting problems you might have. But if you do want to see some filing, check out the card wherever it's going to be above there. Got lots of videos on filing. Okay, so I didn't have to do any more to the cuticle than what we did with that the little baby piece, little baby mandrel. And I just blended it, just like you saw me do that. I was just shaping up the free edge. And now we want to take a look at how beautiful and smooth that cuticle is. And yes, of course, there's some little white bits in there. That's just dust. That'll all go away when we do. Or we can just remove it with some alcohol. So we just get that right in the little crevices. Okay, look at that. That's a beautiful, smooth cuticle. So the smoother your cuticle is, the less likely they'll be lifting, especially if you did all the pre-steps correctly. Okay, so let's go ahead and polish up these beauties. I have a new gel collection I'd love to show you. It's called my Soft Tones. Which one is it? This one? Yeah. My new Soft Tone Nudes. Let's take a look at each color. Okay, this color is called Mist.
That's a nice one.
Isn't it beautiful? And this is what it looks like on. That's 2 coats. 2 light coats.
Very nice.
Yeah, very pretty. I love naming them. I have a lot of fun doing that. This is called Sweets, and that's what it looks like with 2 coats on. These are so gentle. That's what I love about them. Now this is called Oyster. Look at that. And this is what it looks like with 2 coats on. That is like one of my favorites, I think. This is called Fawn. Look how gentle that is. Oh, I'm always on the search for nudes. Sometimes I would get so particular, I'd mix my own colors, like 2 colors together to make the specific color that I wanted. So I had a lot of fun creating this. This is called Blush. And that is what it looks like with 2 coats. And this is on a clear tip. So if you have like my nails already, they'll look a little bit different because it'll reflect the color underneath, right? This is called Charmed. And that's what it looks like with 2 coats. So pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and polish these up with one of these colors and we'll take a look at the end result photos. You can get these individually or as a collection at nailcareer.com. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video.